This week's episode should resonate with every man and woman out there who wants to be harder to kill. Someone who wants to be, for lack of a better term, bulletproof. Someone who wants to be stronger, more independent, and ready to defend themselves and their family. And we do that through our physical preparation. Welcome to First Responder Fitness with Carl Wimmer, where armor is forged through mental, spiritual, and physical preparation. Welcome to First Responder Fitness with Carl Wimmer. I'm your host, Carl Wimmer, and I thank you for joining me again this week for another episode. Super excited to get into this week's topic, a topic that I think could really have an impact on your life, your health, and your physical fitness. But before we get into the topic, I just want to encourage you to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I encourage you to like this episode and share it with your friends and your family, especially the men in your life. Well, this week's episode is an extension of a few of the previous episodes that I have done recently, particularly those episodes that are calling on men to rise up and take ownership of their family's safety. Particularly those episodes that have spoken to the men about their need to defend the innocent, to defend their families. This is an extension of that particular topic. And this episode comes from a conversation I had with a friend of mine at the gym who mentioned that part of the reason he works out, part of the reason that he's into physical fitness is the fact that being stronger makes you harder to kill. And that resonates with me. As a retired SWAT officer, as someone who is in the combat sports, someone who is very interested in self-defense, protection, strength, longevity, defending my family and defending the innocent, that statement resonated with me. And it should resonate with all of you. It should resonate with every man and woman who is interested in protecting themselves, protecting their families, making themselves to where they are harder to kill. This week's episode should resonate with every man and woman out there who wants to be harder to kill. Someone who wants to be, for lack of a better term, bulletproof. Someone who wants to be stronger, more independent, and ready to defend themselves and their family. And we do that through our physical preparation. This week's episode is very, very important, and it is about physical fitness and the fact that being strong, being fit, being prepared physically, it's not just about lifting weights and looking good. It's about your safety and your family's safety. I mean, I want to reframe this entire topic because so many people think that lifting weights is about vanity only, but it's not. Men, particularly, have a moral imperative, a necessity for men, especially those who are 40 or older, to get off the couch and to prepare themselves, to defend their wives, to defend their families. And women have the same moral imperative because there are a lot of single women out there. There are a lot of single mothers out there, and your lives are critically important. They are important and they are valuable. And how are we going to defend ourselves when the chips are down? How are we going to be prepared if we ever run into an emergency type situation? For you first responders, this is your daily life. If you are a police officer, if you are a firefighter, this is something that is applicable to you every single day. Physical fitness is not about vanity. Physical fitness is about your lifestyle and your job. This episode truly is a call to action, a call for men and women to stop being passive and to start being prepared. But particularly in this episode, I again want to focus on the men. I feel called to focus on the men this week, as I have in the past couple of episodes. Now, women, please don't tune out. Please listen to this and then share this with the men in your life, because they need to hear it. The days of the dad bod being sexy, the days of the dad bod being popular, the days of the dad bod being a running joke in the family or at work needs to come to an end. You see, because we're living in a day and time when obesity is an absolute health epidemic, where over 50% of men in this country are obese. And if you take that up a notch to where you're talking about men over 40, the majority of men over 40 are unhealthy. They are obese, and they are living life day by day from the couch. And that is not the way to thrive or to live. That is no way to live. And it needs to change. It is no way to prepare yourself to defend your family. It is no way to prepare yourself to lead your family. And that needs to change. Obesity is not just a health issue, although it is, in fact, the number one health issue in the entire world. Obesity leads to all sorts of diseases, cardiovascular disease, atherosclerosis. It leads to strokes. It leads to diabetes. It leads to fatty liver disease. It leads to all sorts of issues. But obesity is not just a health issue. It is a preparedness issue. Are you prepared to take action when you need to take action in defense of your family, defense of your wife, defense of your children, defense of your grandchildren? And if you search your heart seriously, I think you'd come up with the answer, and the answer is you're not as prepared as you should be. And that's why I am talking to you today, men. That's why I'm talking to you today. The days of being out of shape needs to stop. It needs to come to an end. You see, there is a moral imperative to be prepared. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "The first wealth is your health." If you're not fit, you're not healthy. If you're not healthy, you certainly are not wealthy. You could have all the money in the world, and I would not trade I wouldn't trade all the money in the world for my health. I just wouldn't. My health is the most important thing to me. And it should be the most important thing to you, because when you lose your health, you've lost almost everything. Physical fitness is a form of self-respect. And it is, in fact, these days, it is a duty to one's family and to one's community to be in physically good condition. Just recently, we saw the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, come out and talk about fat troops, fat military men and women, and how that is going to end under his watch. I did an entire episode on the fact that obesity is a national safety crisis, that the fact that the military has had to lower the standards so much over the years because obesity, laziness, and weakness has increased. There is no place for an obese soldier in the United States military, or at least there shouldn't be. I mean, it's shameful to think that somebody who is protecting our national sovereignty, our safety as a country, would be winded by running up the stairs. There's no room for it. And thankfully, that is changing. Our military physical fitness standards are increasing, and they are doing away with all of this nonsense that says, well, you don't have to meet the standard if you're X, Y, or Z. No, everybody should meet the standard. And there should be no place in the military, in the fighting men and women of our military, of the U.S. military, for obesity or for weakness. We need the finest fighting men and women on the planet. And so I'm really happy to see that they're changing this. But you, as a man, you have your own place where you are the Secretary of War, so to speak. And that is in your home. And there should be no place for weakness and obesity in your preparation either. So now that we've discussed kind of the moral imperative for you to be in shape, let's talk about what you should be doing on a daily basis, or at least regularly throughout the week, as a person who is preparing to defend themselves or to defend their family. In other words, how to make yourself harder to kill. First and foremost is your training. You need to start training with real world scenarios. What this means is that you're not training just for pretty muscles. You're training for functionality. You're training for survival. Your exercises as a police officer, as a firefighter, as a person, as a man, as a woman, as someone who is training to defend your home, should incorporate exercises that mimic real life movements. Heavy lifting, farmer carries, heavy weight training, movements that include lifting, sprinting, carrying. Think about dragging things, dragging a loved one out of a burning home, things that deal with functional fitness, exercises that mimic real life movements. Very important. And we'll talk about how to get started here in just a minute. But right now, I'm just kind of giving you the overall framework of how your training should look. You should adopt a warrior mindset, a warrior mentality. And the way we do that is by doing hard things. If your entire life is centered around ease and comfort and never getting out of your comfort zone, never training for difficult things, never doing things that are hard, never pushing your body beyond where your comfort zone is, your mind is also getting weaker. You see, there's a connection. They in bodybuilding, they call this mind-muscle connection. And really, they're just focusing on the mind and the muscle working together when you're exercising. But there's so much more to it. By pushing your body physically, you are strengthening your mental resolve as well. You need to start learning how to adopt a warrior's mentality. And you start doing that by doing hard things. For example, if you are going to go for a jog and it's raining outside, you should use that as an opportunity to train when it's uncomfortable. If it's super hot outside, now listen, I want you to be safe. I want you to be careful. Stay hydrated. Don't be dumb. Use sunscreen. Use proper precautions. But you should use the weather as an opportunity to strengthen your mental resolve. Train when it's hot outside. Train when it's cold outside. Train when everything isn't perfect. Use that as a chance to strengthen your mental resolve. Now, there's a lot of really common barriers that I hear, common excuses, common things that people talk about that, well, they're excuses. The first one, of course, is I'm too old to start. I'm over 40, I'm out of shape, and I'm just too old to start. That is simply not true. In fact, this past weekend, I had my in-laws here at the house, and we had a great conversation. They talked about how they go to the gym now about 4 times a week, and they're there for about an hour and a half. And they were talking about their muscles, and they were flexing their muscles and talking about their strength and the increases strength that they're seeing, the increases in their abilities. They're rowing. They get down on the rowing machine. They do rows, and they're doing pull downs and curls and leg extensions, and they're walking on the treadmill, and they're doing mobility exercises, and they're just so excited for the improvements they're seeing, and they're in their 70s. It's never too late to build strength and to improve, to lose body fat and to gain muscle. It is never too late. Age is just a number. Discipline knows no number. Discipline is timeless. Discipline doesn't care how old you are. Only your brain cares how old you are. Only your mind cares. It is just a number. Do not use that as an excuse. One of another common excuse is, well, I just don't have time. I just don't have time. You make the time for what's important in your life. How much time do you spend watching TV? How much time do you spend scrolling through Facebook or Instagram or any of the other social media platforms? How much time do you spend doing things that are comfortable? You spend time and you make the time for what is important to you. So exercise, fitness, weight training, armoring your body for war should be important to you. Stop using time as an excuse, because you certainly have enough time in the day. What you lack is the prioritization. You want to spend time on things that are easy rather things that are hard. And that needs to change. That's part of the mindset change. I've also heard, well, I'm too tired. I'm just too tired. Well, sometimes you are. If you didn't have a good night's sleep, sometimes you are too tired. You need to start prioritizing your health. Prioritize your sleep. Prioritize your protein. Prioritize your nutrition. Fatigue is often the results of poor lifestyle choices rather than anything else. And so this is how we change it. You start prioritizing fitness and exercise and nutrition and sleep. Go back and look at all the episodes that we have done on fitness, nutrition. Look at our Habits to Healthy in 1 Year program and start prioritizing your fitness. Start prioritizing protein. Start prioritizing hydration and sleep and nutrition. These things are so important. If fatigue is the result of your lifestyle choices, it's not a result of you doing so much that your body's tired. In most cases, you have just simply run the gas tank dry because you eat like crap and you live like crap. That should not be the case. Men, you should not be living this way. You have a moral imperative. I've said it already in this episode. You have a moral imperative to strengthen yourself, not to soften yourself. So get off the couch and get to work. Now, what are some practical steps to begin? Because, you say, okay, that's great, Wimmer. That's easy. That's easy to say, but how do I begin? Let me just walk you through just a few key steps where to begin. Okay? I want to make this simple for you. I want to just peel away all the other noise and just focus on this. Number 1, in the small steps to begin, start small. If you have to start with body weight exercises because you're so deconditioned, if body weight squats in your living room is where you begin, that's a win. That is a victory. Start small and gradually increase your intensity. But start. Get off the couch and start. You need to start where you are. I see people at the gym who are old. I see people at the gym who are absolutely soft bodies, but they're there to change. They are there making a change, and they're putting in the work. You can too. Put in the work by starting small. Number 2, and by far the most important, consistency. Consistency is key. Nothing is more important than consistency. I've told you this story a bunch of times, but in case this is your first episode that you've ever watched, let me share it with you again. I was world champion powerlifter, and shortly after I won my first, maybe my second world championship, I was at work as a police officer, and I was having a conversation with another police officer, and he says, how in the world are you benching almost 600 pounds? This is unbelievable. How are you doing this? And he says, I work out. I train hard. I work hard. I said, okay, tell me about that. Tell me about your workout routine. And he started telling me about what he does in the gym. And I said, no. Start in January and go all the way to December and tell me what your workout routine is that year. And he said, okay. And he thought about it for a minute. He says, well, I like New Year's resolutions, so I usually set a New Year's resolution, and I'm really good January, February. In fact, I'm really good in March. I work really hard. And then April comes up and there's spring break, and so, that week, spring break, I usually take off and I don't really work out. And then it's hard to get back into the swing of things, but I get into it a little bit. But then summertime comes and you got barbecues and vacations, and it's hard to be consistent through the summer. But then fall comes and I really want to hit it hard, and I do. I hit it hard all the way up until, well, of course, the holidays, and Thanksgiving and Christmas and all of these things. And that's kind of hit or miss there. I said, okay, good. That's what I wanted to hear. I said, so here's the deal. The difference between you and the difference between the way I train, there's only one difference: consistency. I told him, I said, I can count on both hands with many, many fingers left over the amount of workouts I've missed in years, 5-10 years. I can count how many workouts I've missed really on one hand. I don't miss my workouts. If I have something else scheduled, I work out earlier in the day. If I have something, a birthday or a holiday, I work around it and I make sure I get my workouts in. I don't miss. I am consistent. It is probably my number one, without question, my number one. The best thing about my fitness is that maybe I'm not as intense as some people. Maybe I don't focus on my nutrition as strongly as some, but I am consistent when it comes to working out. And then when you take that consistency and you add it to your nutrition, and you take that consistency and you add it to your sleep, and you take that consistency and you add it to every aspect of your life, you cannot do anything but succeed. The only result of consistency over time is success. You will succeed if you stay consistent. Consistency is key. Regular, moderate workouts are more sustainable than sporadic, intense sessions. So don't burn yourself out. Be consistent. The third thing I want you to focus on is nutrition. Nutrition fuels your body with whole foods. Avoid crap food, garbage foods, processed foods, sugary foods. Focus on single ingredient, wholesome whole foods. I do an entire episode on this. You can go back and look at all of the episodes I do on nutrition. Nutrition is key. So if you want to change your body, you want to start armoring yourself, you want to drop the dad bod and the soft bod, start focusing on consistent nutrition and be consistent nutritional habits. Stop eating garbage. Stop feeding your body garbage. You want to talk about I'm too tired to work out? Well, that's probably nutrition is the number one reason you're too tired to work out. You're not feeding your body what it needs to fuel itself. Focus on nutrition. Fourth thing, rest, sleep. Prioritize your sleep. I again did an entire episode on sleep hygiene, and how to sleep. Sleep is critical. It is no longer one of these things that, oh, I'll sleep when I'm dead. No, if you don't sleep, you will die. Period. You need 8 solid hours of sleep every single night. Some of you need more than that. Women particularly, if you don't get good sleep, your workouts are going to be a mess. Women need consistent, good sleep. So do men. But women particularly, it throws their entire day off if they don't get good rest. That is not an insult to women. It is a biological fact. You need good sleep. So you need to prioritize your sleep to allow your body to rebuild stronger. So again, start small, be consistent, focus on nutrition, and get your rest and sleep. These are the ways that we start practically to get rid of the dad bod, to start building muscle, to lose fat, and to make yourself harder to kill. Finally, I want to talk a little bit about the fact that all of that, yes, is important, but you also need to, probably most all of you need to get yourself into some kind of a self-defense, martial arts, jiu-jitsu type course. You need to learn how to fight. Because the biggest mistake that I think bodybuilders make, the biggest mistake that most of your gym bros make, is they think that being strong and being muscular equates to an ability to fight. And it does not. As someone who has been a world elite powerlifter, and as someone who studies how to fight and has competed in the combat sports, I am here to tell you that the carryover from being strong in the gym to being able to fight is not that great. Yes, if you're strong, if 2 completely untrained men meet on the street to fight, and neither of them have any training in how to fight, the stronger guy is going to win in most cases. The stronger, most vicious guy is going to win. But if a typical gym bro who can bench 300 and squat 400 and weighs 210, 215, 220 pounds, if that guy meets an average 150-pound jiu-jitsu expert or an average 150-pound boxer who is trained in boxing and they fight on the street, the gym bro is getting knocked out. The gym bro is getting choked out. The gym bro is getting hurt. Because there is a huge difference between knowing how to fight and being strong. And failure to understand that difference is a painful, painful lesson for the gym bro. I mean, just because you're muscly and strong doesn't make you good at basketball. Just because you're muscly and strong doesn't make you good at golf. Just because you're muscular and strong and the most powerful person you know does not make you good at swimming or at tennis. And it sure as hell doesn't make you good at fighting. Fighting is a skill. And if you haven't been trained in fighting, you do not know how to fight. And you need to get yourself some training. That is a huge caution that I throw out to all of my men who train in the gym. Yes, the first step is get yourself fit and strong. Get yourself as fit as you can. Get yourself as strong as you can. And then understand that there are limits to what that means when it comes to combat on the streets. Yes, you're way better off than the beer-bellied, pork rind eating guy on the couch. Just because a guy is a 250-pound fat guy, I mean, if that guy thinks he can fight, he's in big trouble. Okay, because not only is he just big and soft, but he has no training. So be better than that guy. Okay, be strong, be fit, be ready, but also get yourself some combat training as well. Understand this. As far as kind of to wrap this up, my final thoughts, strength is not just physical. It's a reflection of your commitment to those who you love. Being strong and being fit is a commitment. It shows your commitment to those who you love. You're ready to protect them. You're willing to protect them. This is a call to action today. Commit to a fitness routine today. Men, women, all of you, first responders, commit to a fitness routine today. It'll make you harder to kill. It'll be better for your health. It'll be better for your family, and it will be better for your future. So go out and do it. Again, I encourage you to subscribe to the channel, share this, give it a thumbs up, comment below for the algorithm. Let me know what you think of it. And until next time, I'm Carl Wimmer, reminding you, be good to yourself, be good to others, and as always, stay safe.